The Golden Horde was a Mongol and later Turkicized Khanate established in the 13th century and originating as the northwestern sector of the Mongol Empire. With the fragmentation of the Mongol Empire after 1259, it became a functionally separate Khanate. It is also known as the Kipchak Khanate or as the Ulus of Jochi. After the death of Batu Khan in 1255, his dynasty flourished for a full century, until 1359, though the intrigues of Nogai did instigate a partial civil war in the late 1290s. The Horde's military power peaked during the reign of Uzbek, who adopted Islam. The territory of the Golden Horde at its peak included most of Eastern Europe from the Urals to the Danube River, and extended east deep into Siberia. In the south, the Golden Horde's lands bordered on the Black Sea, the Caucasus Mountains, and the territories of the Mongol dynasty known as the Ilkhanate. The Khanate experienced violent internal political disorder beginning in 1359, before it briefly reunited under Toktamish. However, soon after the 1396 invasion of Timur, the founder of the Timurid Empire, the Golden Horde broke into smaller Tatar Khanates which declined steadily in power. At the start of the 15th century, the Horde began to fall apart. By 1466 it was being referred to simply as the Great Horde. Within its territories there emerged numerous predominantly Turkish-speaking Khanates. These internal struggles allowed the northern vassal state of Muscovy to rid itself of the Tatar yoke at the Great Stand on the Uzhira River in 1480. The Crimean Khanate and the Kazakh Khanate, the last remnants of the Golden Horde, survived until 1783 and 1847 respectively. The name Golden Horde is said to have been inspired by the golden color of the tents the Mongols lived in during wartime, or an actual golden tent used by Batu Khan or by Uzbek Khan, or to have been bestowed by the Slavic tributaries to describe the great wealth of the Khan. But the Mongolic word for the color yellow also meant center or central in Old Turkic and Mongolic languages, and horde probably comes from the Mongolic word ordu, meaning palace, camp or headquarters. So, Golden Horde may simply have come from a Mongolic term for central camp. Quote, in any event, it was not until the 16th century that Russian chroniclers began explicitly using the term Golden Horde to refer to this particular successor Khanate of the Mongol Empire. The first known use of the term in 1565 in the Russian chronicle History of Kasan applied it to the Ulus of Batus centered on Sarai, in contemporary Persian, Armenian and Muslim writings, and in the records of the 13th and early 14th centuries such as the Yuanshi and the Jami al-Tawari. The Khanate was called the Ulus of Jochi.After or Khanate of the Kipchak and Khmania. Its left wing was referred to as the Blue Horde in Russian chronicles and as the White Horde in Timurid sources. Western scholars have tended to follow the Timurid sources nomenclature and call the left wing the White Horde. But Otemish Haji, a historian of Khwarezm, called the left wing the Blue Horde, and since he was familiar with the oral traditions of the Khanate Empire, it seems likely that the Russian chroniclers were correct, and that the Khanate itself called its left wing the Blue Horde. The Khanate apparently used the term White Horde to refer to its right wing, which was situated in Batu's home base in Sarai and controlled the Ulus. However, the designations Golden Horde, Blue Horde, and White Horde have not been encountered in the sources of the Mongol period. Mongol origins. At his death in 1227, Genghis Khan divided the Mongol Empire amongst his 4 sons as appanages, but the empire remained united under the Supreme Khan. Jochi was the eldest, but he died 6 months before Genghis. The westernmost lands occupied by the Mongols, which included what is today southern Russia and Kazakhstan, were given to Jochi's eldest sons Batu, who eventually became the ruler of the Blue Horde, and Orda, who became the leader of the White Horde. In 1235, Batu with the great general Subedi began an invasion westwards, first conquering the Bashkirs and then moving on to Volga Bulgaria in 1236. Further, he conquered some of the southern steppes of present-day Ukraine in 1237, forcing many of the local Cumans to retreat westward. The military campaign against the Kipchaks and Cumans had started under Jochi and Subedi in 1216–18 when the Merkits took shelter among them. By 1239 a large portion of Cumans were driven out of the Crimea Peninsula, and it became one of the appanages of the Mongol Empire. The remnants of the Crimean Cumans survived in the Crimean mountains, and they would, in time, mix with other groups in the Crimea to form the Crimean Tatar population. Moving north, Batu began the Mongol invasion of Rus and for 3 years subjugated the principalities of former Kievan Rus, whilst his cousins Monkey, Kadan, and Gulyuk moved southwards into Alania. Using the migration of the Cumans as a casus belli, the Mongols continued west, raiding Poland and Hungary and culminating in the battles of Legnica and Mohi. In 1241, however, Ogedei Khan died in the Mongolia homeland. Batu turned back from his siege of Vienna to take part in disputing the succession. The Mongol armies would never again travel so far west. In 1242, after retreating through Hungary, destroying Pest in the process, and subjugating Bulgaria, Batu established his capital at Sarai, commanding the lower stretch of the Volga River on the site of the Khazar capital of Atil. Shortly before that, the younger brother of Batu, Orda, Sheban, was given his own enormous Ulus east of the Ural Mountains along the Ob and Irtysh rivers. While the Mongolian language was undoubtedly in general use at the court of Batu, few Mongol texts written in the territory of the Golden Horde have survived, perhaps because of the prevalent general illiteracy. According to Grigorev, Yalik, or decrees of the Khans, were written in Mongol, then translated into the Cuman language. The existence of Arabic Mongol and Persian Mongol dictionaries dating from the middle of the 14th century and prepared for the use of the Mamluks in Egypt suggests that there was a practical need for such works in the chancellery's hand in correspondence with the Golden Horde. It is thus reasonable to conclude that letters received by the Mamluks, if not also written by them, must have been in Mongol. Indeed, the linguistic and even socio-linguistic impacts were great, as the Russians borrowed thousands of words, phrases, and other significant linguistic features from the Mongol and Turkic languages that were united under the Mongol Empire.